If you walked into a grocery store today and couldn't find rice, pasta, or canned goods on the shelves, would you panic? Because right now, food industry insiders are quietly stocking up on specific items that most people have no idea are about to become scarce or expensive. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to reveal the exact grocery items you need to stockpile right now, why supply chains are more fragile than ever, and the smart storage strategies that will keep your family fed while others scramble. Stay until the end, because I'll share the one mistake 90% of people make when stockpiling that actually puts them at greater risk. Welcome to Food Fixer, where we help you navigate the changing world of food security and smart grocery shopping. If this information saves you money or stress down the road, smash that like button and subscribe for more insider food industry insights you won't hear anywhere else. Right now, while you're watching this video, there are three major forces creating the perfect storm for food shortages and price spikes that most people don't even realize are happening. Let me break this down for you. First, climate-related crop failures are hitting key staple regions harder than the mainstream media is reporting. This past year alone, we've seen devastating floods in rice-producing regions of Asia, drought conditions destroying wheat crops in major European growing areas, and unprecedented heat waves wiping out corn harvests in the American Midwest. These aren't isolated incidents. They're part of a pattern that's making our global food supply increasingly unpredictable. But here's what's really concerning. The transportation systems that move food from farms to your local grocery store are breaking down. Fuel costs have skyrocketed, making it more expensive to ship goods across the country. Railway strikes and trucking shortages mean food sits in warehouses longer, increasing spoilage and reducing availability. Meanwhile, major shipping ports are experiencing delays that can back up food imports for weeks or even months. Add to this the labor shortage crisis hitting food processing facilities nationwide. Plants that package your canned goods, process your frozen vegetables, and prepare your everyday staples are operating with skeleton crews. When they can't find workers, production slows down or stops entirely. This creates artificial scarcity even when raw ingredients are available. Now, let's talk about the economic factors that are quietly driving up food costs in ways that go far beyond the inflation numbers you hear on the news. The official inflation rate might say food prices are up 8 or 10%, but if you've been grocery shopping lately, you know that number doesn't reflect reality. Essential items like eggs, bread, and meat have increased by 30, 40, sometimes even 50% in many areas. Here's something most people don't understand. When your currency loses value against other currencies, imported foods become dramatically more expensive. A significant portion of what Americans eat is either imported directly or depends on imported ingredients. From olive oil to spices to certain grains, these price increases hit your grocery bill hard, and they're not going back down anytime soon. Corporate consolidation in the food industry has also created a dangerous lack of resilience. When just a few massive companies control the production and distribution of essential foods, a problem at one facility can create shortages across entire regions. We've seen this with baby formula, we've seen it with certain meat products, and it's spreading to other categories. The timeline indicators are pointing to things getting worse before they get better. Industry insiders I've spoken with are warning about seasonal patterns that make fall and winter particularly vulnerable times for food availability. This is when transportation becomes more difficult due to weather, when heating costs compete with food budgets, and when any disruptions in the supply chain have the biggest impact. Recent government policy changes affecting food distribution and agricultural subsidies are also creating uncertainty that smart shoppers need to prepare for. Without getting political, I'll just say that changes in trade relationships and domestic food policies are creating juicy ripple effects that will hit grocery stores in the coming months. So what should you actually be buying right now? Let me give you the specific items that will give you the best return on investment and the most security for your family. Start with shelf-stable protein sources. Canned chicken, tuna, salmon, and sardines should be at the top of your list. These have shelf lives of 3 to 5 years when stored properly, and they provide complete proteins your body needs. Don't overlook canned ham and beef. They're more expensive up front, but provide versatility for multiple meals. Dried beans and lentils are protein powerhouses that can last 10 years or more when stored correctly. Black beans, kidney beans, chickpeas, and navy beans give you the foundation for countless meals. Protein powder might seem like a luxury item, but it's actually one of the most cost-effective ways to ensure adequate protein intake during shortages. For nuts and seeds, focus on almonds, walnuts, and peanuts in sealed containers. These provide healthy fats and protein while having impressive shelf lives. Peanut butter is obvious, but also consider almond butter and sunflower seed butter for variety and nutrition. When it comes to carbohydrates, not all options are created equal for long-term storage. White rice stores better than brown rice and can last 4 to 6 years in proper conditions. Jasmine and basmati varieties tend to maintain their quality longer than other types. For pasta, shapes like penne, rotini, and shells store more efficiently than long noodles and are less prone to breaking. Quinoa and rolled oats deserve special mention because they're nutritionally dense and have excellent storage characteristics. Quinoa is technically a complete protein, making it incredibly valuable during food shortages. Steel-cut oats last longer than quick oats and provide more sustained energy. Don't forget about flour alternatives. All-purpose flour has a shorter shelf life than you might think, so consider whole wheat flour stored in the freezer, or better yet, wheat berries that you can grind as needed. Coconut flour and almond flour also store well and provide options for people with gluten sensitivities. For nutrient-dense preservation items, focus on canned vegetables that retain their nutritional value. Tomatoes, spinach, carrots, and green beans in cans actually have some nutritional advantages over fresh produce that's been shipped long distances and sits on shelf. As for days, dried fruits and vegetables are concentrated nutrition sources that can supplement your diet when fresh produce becomes expensive or unavailable. Dried apricots, dates, and raisins provide natural sugars and minerals. Dehydrated vegetables like onions, peppers, and mushrooms can add flavor and nutrition to stored grain-based meals. Cooking oils are crucial for both meal preparation and preservation techniques. Coconut oil has the longest shelf life and remains stable at room temperature. Olive oil, while having a shorter shelf life, is essential for nutrition and flavor. Apple cider vinegar and white vinegar are preservatives themselves and can extend the life of other foods while providing health benefits. Now that you know what to stockpile, let's talk about how to do it smart, so you don't waste money or create problems for yourself. Proper storage is absolutely critical for getting the maximum shelf life from your investment. Temperature control is your first priority. Most pantry items do best in cool, consistent temperatures between 50 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Basements are often ideal, but avoid areas that experience temperature swings or get too humid. Humidity is the enemy of long-term food storage. Moisture creates conditions for mold, bacteria, and insect infestations. Use airtight containers whenever possible, and consider adding oxygen absorbers or desiccant packets to containers with grains, beans, and nuts. Container selection can make or break your stockpiling efforts. Food-grade buckets with Gamma Seal lids are excellent for bulk items like rice and beans. Glass jars work well for smaller quantities and allow you to see the contents easily. Mylar bags inside other containers provide an extra barrier against moisture and pests. Create an organization system that lets you track what you have and when you bought it. Label everything with purchase dates and keep a simple inventory list. This prevents you from buying duplicates of items you already have and helps you use items before they expire. The rotation system is where most people mess up their stockpiling efforts. You need to use your stored food regularly, not just let it sit until an emergency. Plan meals around your stockpiled ingredients at least once or twice a week. This keeps your inventory fresh and ensures you actually know how to cook with the items you've stored. Practice the first in, first out principle religiously. Use older items first and repeat. Lace them with fresh purchases. This creates a natural rotation that keeps your stockpile current without waste. Here's a meal planning hack that most people miss. Create a monthly menu that incorporates your stockpiled ingredients into regular family meals. This way, you're constantly cycling through your supplies while discovering new recipes and cooking techniques that will be valuable if you ever need to rely on stored food exclusively. Pay attention to expiration dates, but understand that many shelf-stable foods remain safe and nutritious well beyond their printed dates when stored properly. Canned goods can often be consumed years past their expiration dates, while dried beans and rice can last decades. However, regularly check for signs of spoilage like off odors, discoloration, or pest damage. Now let me share the critical mistakes that can turn your smart stockpiling strategy into a wasteful disaster. The biggest mistake I see people make is overbuying perishables in a panic. Yes, frozen foods can be part of your strategy, but they're vulnerable to power outages and freezer failures. Don't let frozen items make up more than 20% of your total stockpile. Focus on shelf-stable options that don't depend on electricity or refrigeration. Another major error is ignoring your family's actual dietary needs and preferences. Stockpiling 50 pounds of beans won't help if your family refuses to eat them, or if someone has digestive issues with legumes. Consider food allergies, dietary restrictions, and plain old personal preferences when building your stockpile. A hungry family is more likely to eat foods they're familiar with than to experiment with new ingredients during stressful times. Here's the mistake that 90% of people make that I promise to tell you about. They stockpile ingredients but never practice cooking with them before they need to rely on them. Buying 20 pounds of wheat berries won't help you if you don't own a grain mill and have never made bread from scratch. Purchasing dozens of cans of unfamiliar vegetables is useless if you don't know how to prepare them in ways your family will eat. Start cooking with your stockpiled ingredients now, while grocery stores are still fully stocked and you have backup options. Learn how to make bread from flour, how to cook dried beans from scratch, how to create satisfying meals from shelf-stable ingredients. This knowledge is just as valuable as the food itself. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that stockpiling is just about accumulating large quantities of food. It's about creating a sustainable system that enhances your food security without creating waste or financial strain. Buy what you'll use what you buy, and gradually build up quantities of items that form the foundation of your family's regular diet. Finally, avoid the mistake of keeping your stockpiling efforts secret from family members. Everyone in your household should know what stored food is available and how to prepare it. This isn't about creating fear, it's about creating confidence and capability. The reality is that food security is becoming more important every day, and the people who prepare now will have options that others won't. The grocery items I've outlined for you today aren't just for emergency preparedness. They're smart investments that will save you money and stress as food prices continue to rise and availability becomes more unpredictable. Start with one category and gradually build your stockpile over time. You don't need to buy everything at once, but you do need to start taking action now while these items are still readily available and affordable. If this information helped you understand what's really happening with our food supply and gave you a concrete plan for protecting your family, hit that like button and subscribe to Food Fixer for more insights you won't get anywhere else. We're here to help you navigate these challenging times with practical knowledge and proven strategies.